The kingdom of my divine will in the midst of creatures. Book of Heaven, Volume 36, Part 12. September 5th, 1938. The Human Will. Cross of the Divine. The Divine, cross of the human. How in the divine will things change. Dissimilarities disappear. How Jesus compensates for anything that may be lacking to one who lives in his will. I feel the life of the divine Fiat inside my soul, wanting to be my motion, my breath and heartbeat. It wants such a union with the human will that it can be opposed in nothing. Otherwise, it starts complaining, disappointed, and feeling as if crucified by the human will. Then my beloved one, repeating his short little visit, told me, "My blessed daughter, how much my will suffers in the creature. It is sufficient to tell you that every time she does her will, she crucifies mine. Therefore, the cross of my will is the human will, but not with 3 nails, as I was crucified on the cross. Rather, with a nail for each time that she opposes my will. How many times my will is not recognized, and while it wants to do good, it is rejected with the nails of ingratitude. How excruciating is this crucifixion of my will in the creature! How many times it feels as if being nailed by her breath, heartbeat, and motion, because not being known as the life of that breath, heartbeat, and motion, the human breath, heartbeat, and motion become nails for it, preventing it from doing in them the good that it wants. Oh, how my will feels crucified within the human will. With its divine motion, it wants to make the day arise inside the human motion, while the creature crucifies the divine motion, causing the night to come, putting light on the cross too. How sorrowed my light feels in being repressed, crucified, put in a state of incapacity by the human will, and this to give it the life of its sanctity and strength, while the creature, by not accepting it, sticks into it the nail of sin, of her passions and weaknesses. Poor will of mine! In what a state of pain and continuous crucifixion it finds itself in the human will, that just keeps putting our love on the cross, filling with nails all the goods we want to give her. On the other hand, one who lives in my will does not crucify my will. Rather, I can say that I become her cross. But this cross is very different. With my cross, my will knows how to put nails of light, sanctity, and love, to strengthen her with our own divine strength. These nails do not give sufferings, rather they make her happy. and beautiful with an enchanting beauty. They are the bearers of great conquests, and one who experiences them feels so happy that he prays to us and begs us to keep him always on the cross with our divine nails. From there, nobody can escape. If the two wills, the human and the divine, are not united, one will form the cross of the other. Further, our love and jealousy are such that we don't leave her free, not even a breath, without our nail of light and love, to have her always with us, and to say, she does what we do, and wants what we want. You must know that as the creature enters our will, everything is transformed. Darkness is turned into light, weakness into fortitude, poverty into riches, passions into virtue. Her mutation is such that she is not the same as before. Her state is no longer one of a most wicked slave, but of a noble queen. Our divine being loves her so much that it runs into her acts to do whatever she does. And since our motion is continuous, we move and love her, move and hug her. Our motion moves and kisses her, making her more beautiful and more the saint. In every motion we give from ourselves, and in the emphasis of our love, we tell her about our Supreme Being, making known who we are and how much we love her. We identify ourselves in her, and she in us. Our will and her will are one, to the extent that we feel her in our divine motion. And as she takes what is ours, she loves us with our love. She gives us our inaccessible light to glorify our sanctity, to praise us and say, "Holy, holy, thrice holy are you! You enclose all. You are all." How beautiful it is to see the human smallness inside of our will, having in its power our divine being, to give it back to us, to love us and glorify us as we want and justly deserve. In our will, the parts become equal, dissimilarities disappear. Our unity unites everything and everyone, making one the acts of all, to become the act of all. In hearing this, I could understand the sanctity, the beauty, and the greatness of living in the divine will. And I was thinking to myself, it seems to me difficult to live in it. How can the creature reach this point? The human weaknesses, the circumstances of life, many times are too painful. The unexpected encounters, the so many difficulties that one doesn't even know what to do. Wouldn't all these things lead the creature astray from a life so holy that it would take a perfect attention not to? And my sweet Jesus, continuing his say with such a tenderness that I felt my heart exploding, added, "My little daughter of my will, my interest and my continuous yearning for the creature to live in my will is such that once we've made the agreement, myself and her, with a firm decision that she must live in my fiat, this being my will, I am the first one who makes the sacrifice to obtain the intent so that she may live in it. I place myself at her disposal. I give her all the graces, light, love, and the very knowledge of my will, so that she herself has to feel the need to live in it. When I want something, and she promptly accepts doing what I want, I take care of everything. And when she fails for weakness, for inconstancy, or for negligence, not for will, I come to compensate, and I do what she was supposed to do, transferring to her what I did, as if she had done it. My daughter, living in my will is life, not virtue, that I must form, and life needs me, and continuous acts. Otherwise, it would not be life. At the most, it could be a work that doesn't need either continuous acts or life. Therefore, I do not break the life because of involuntary indisposition or weakness, but I continue it. And it may be that in those same indispositions, there is even my will, allowing those weaknesses, in which case the will of the creature would be running into mine anyway. And then, among everything, I look at the agreement done together, the firm decision taken, against which there has been no other decision. Looking at this, I keep compensating her in anything that is missing. Even more, I redouble the graces. I surround her with new love, with new stratagems of love, to make her more attentive. And I provoke in her heart an extreme need to live in my will. And I pray her to hold it so tight as to always be able to live together with it. Fiat. September 11th, 1938. One act done in the divine will is everything. Jesus grows his life in those who live in it. Horrible state of God in those who live on human will. Every time a creature enters into our will, we renew our works. I feel the sea of the divine will always murmuring inside and outside of me, and very often it forms its waves, very, very high ones, and inundates me so much that I feel it as being greater than my life. Oh, divine will, how much you love me, so much that you want to give yourself always, without ceasing, to form your life in my poor soul. Your love is such that it besieges me with light, love, and sighs to obtain the purpose. Then my always adorable Jesus, taking me by surprise, told me, "My blessed daughter, our fulfilled will encloses all the glory that the creature can give us, the love with which we have to love her, and the love with which she must love us. Therefore, in one act of our fulfilled will, we can say that we've done everything. We have given everything, even ourselves, and we have received everything. In fact, by living in it, we give all to the creature. She takes all and can give us all. On the other hand, if she does not live in our will, if our will is not fulfilled, we cannot give everything. She will be incapable of receiving our love or of loving us as much as we want to be loved. We are not happy to give from ourselves, almost in tiny little pieces, as if we were poor. We don't like to half give our things. Being able to give and not to give is always a suffering for us. Our love remains repressed and makes us delirious. This is why we want the soul to live in our divine volition. We want to give all, always, without ever ceasing. Our divine being is never exhausted. The more we give, the more we can give. And giving for us is relief and happiness, is expression of love, is communication of the life that we do. My love is so great that I remain in the soul to grow. Now, having to grow myself, I watch over her continuously, so that what she does may serve to make known and grow my life within her. I use her acts and her love to form my limbs, my heart, the food to feed myself, and the clothes to cover me and give me warmth. I remain always in the attitude of unifying her motion with mine, her breath with mine, in order to find her motion inside mine, and her breath as if it were mine. I let nothing escape me, nothing of what she does, thinks, says, works, or suffers, because it has to serve me and make my life grow. Therefore, I am always in action. I never give myself any rest. Oh, how glad I am! How happy I feel to be always busy in my work of making myself grow within her. I did not create the creature so that she would remain isolated. Certainly not. She was my work, so I had to do it in order to form a work worthy of myself. But if she does not live in my will, I don't find the raw material with which to form and grow my life. We live as if far away, as isolated, and loneliness saddens me. Silence is heavy. If I am not able to do my work, I have fidgets of love, and I feel like a god made unhappy by his creatures. Therefore, my daughter, be attentive. Live always in my will. Give me your acts. Let me work, and do not keep me within you as a god who couldn't and wouldn't know how to do anything. Actually, I have to do the greatest work, growing and forming my life, which will be so beautiful as to form the sweet enchantment of the whole celestial court. On the other hand, in the creature who does not live in our will, our state is horrible. Our life remains as if strangled, broken, divided by the human will, whose acts cannot serve to form and grow our life. Rather, they serve to break it in such a way that one foot is in some place, one hand in another, one eye somewhere else. We feel pity for ourselves, being so shattered, since our will is one. Where it reigns, it forms one act out of many, to form one single life. The human will, instead, can only do fragmented acts, with no virtue of uniting themselves. Rather, they break our divine life into pieces within them. There isn't a scene more horrible that would make even the stones cry than seeing, in the soul who does her will, the harrowing way in which she reduces our life within her. Her shameful acts, degenerating from the origin of her creation and dissimilar from the Creator, form the knife that cuts our divine life into pieces. What a sorrow for us! How deformed and dishonored our creative work remains! How destroyed our scope for creation! Ah, if we were capable of pain, the human will would embitter the ocean of our immense joys and happiness. Then I was following all that the divine will did, both in the creation and in the redemption. And I found all in action, as if everything wanted to give itself to me. My sweet Jesus added, "My daughter, everything that has been done by our Supreme Being is all in action, as if we were in the act of doing it for love of the creatures, since all our works were done for them. Now, the creature that enters our divine will finds all the other creatures. All want to give themselves to her, so she, feeling loved, makes them her own, loving them and loving us for all the gifts we give her. In return for each of our gifts, she would give us her life in gratitude, in appreciation, and to thank me for all the things we gave her. So she feels as if receiving the gift of the sun, of the starry heaven, of the sea and wind, of the whole creation, and more, my birth, my tears, my works, my steps, my sufferings, and the love with which I loved her, and I still do. Oh, how happy she feels! And making all our works and my very life her own, she loves us in the sun and in all other things, with that same love with which I created it. She loves me in my birth, in my tears, in my steps, in my pains, in everything. Oh, how she delights and glorifies us! And our joy is such that it gives us the opportunity to renew our works, as if we were creating them again. So our love overflows from us, investing all with new love. Our power is redoubled to sustain all. Our wisdom puts all into order, while our creative work runs through the whole creation and redemption, to say to the creature, everything is yours. Every single time you enter into our will, recognizing these gifts and making them yours, you are giving us the opportunity and the glory, as if we were repeating again all that we have done for love of the creatures. Our will is the repeater of all our works. It repeats them, renews them always in every instant, each time the creature wants to receive them. And while they give themselves, they remain at their place. They give themselves, still remaining. By giving themselves, they lose nothing. Rather, they are more glorified. Therefore, be attentive to live always in our will. Fiat. September 18th, 1938. How Jesus feels his sufferings being repeated in ours. How he never moves in his works and in his love for us. Example of the flower for those who do not live in divine will. I am in the sea of the divine volition, among immense bitternesses, and the most humiliating humiliations, like a poor condemned. And if it weren't for Jesus, my support, strength, and help, I don't know how I could live. Then my sweet Jesus, sharing my pains, was suffering together with me, and in the ardor of his pains and love told me, my dear daughter, if you knew how much I suffer, if I let you see it, you would die of pain. I am forced to hide everything, all the torment and the rawness of the pain I feel, not to distress you even more. Know that they didn't condemn you, but me, together with you. I myself feel as though being condemned, since condemning good is condemning myself. You, however, unite in my will our condemnation to the one I received when I was crucified, and I will give you the merit of my condemnation and all the goods that it produces. It made me die. Then it called to life my resurrection, in which everyone was to find life and resurrection of all goods. With their sentence, they believe they can kill what I said on my divine will. But I will allow such chastisements and sad events, that I will make my truths rise again more beautifully, more majestic, in the midst of the peoples. Therefore, from your side and mine, let us move nothing. Let us keep doing what we have done, even if everybody should be against us. This is my divine way. For all evils creatures may do, I never move my works. I always preserve them with my creative power and virtue. For love of those who offend me, I always love them without ceasing. If we never move, our works are accomplished, remaining always beautiful, doing good to all. But if we moved, all things would go into ruin, and no good would be accomplished. Therefore, in this too, I want you with me, always still, never moving from inside my will, and doing what you have done until now, attentive to listen to me, to be the narrator of my will. My daughter, what is not enjoyed today will be enjoyed tomorrow. What now seems darkness, because it finds blind minds, will turn into sun tomorrow for those who have eyes. How much good they will do. So let's keep doing what we've done. Let's do what is needed from our side, so that nothing may be missing of help, light, good, and surprising truth, to make my will known and to make it reign. I will use every means of love, grace, and chastisement. I will touch all sides of creatures in order to have my will reign. When it will seem that the true good is about to die, then it will rise again more beautiful and majestic. But while he was saying this, he showed me a sea of fire in which the whole world was about to be wrapped. I was shaken, and my adorable Jesus, pulling me towards himself, told me, "My blessed daughter, courage. Do not be afraid. Come into my divine will, so that its light may remove from you the sad sight of what is happening in the world. And as I talk to you about my will, let us soothe the pains that unfortunately both of us are suffering. See how beautiful it is to live in my will. What I do, the soul does. As she hears my I love you, she soon repeats to me, I love you. And I, feeling loved, transform her so much into myself that in one voice we say, we love everyone. We do good to all. We give life to all. If I bless, we bless together. We adore and glorify together. We run together to help anyone. And if they offend me, we suffer together. Oh, how happy I am in seeing that a creature never leaves me alone. How beautiful is the company of one who wants what I want, does what I do. The union makes happiness arise. Heroism in doing good, tolerance in bearing. Even more, since she is a human creature, belonging to the human family, that does nothing other than send me nails, thorns, and pains. Not to sadden her, I abstain from sending their deserved chastisement, while finding in this creature my hiding place and my desired company. I know that she would be sad if I punished them as they deserve. Therefore, never leave me alone. Loneliness is one of the hardest and most intimate pains of my heart. Not having one to whom to say a word, both in sufferings and joys, makes me so delirious of pain and love that if you could experience it, you would die of pure pain. This is exactly not living in my will, leaving me alone. The human will takes the creature away from her Creator, and as she goes, peace leaves, while anxiety takes its place within her, tormenting her. Lack of strength debilitates her. Beauty fades away. Good dies, while evil arises. Passions keep her company. Poor creature without my will, into what an abyss of miseries she throws herself! It happens, as to the flower, that not being watered, feels as if it's losing its life. It becomes faded, bends on its own stem, and waits for death. And if the sun enwraps it, finding it with no water, it burns it and dries it completely. Such is the soul without my will. She is like a soul with no water. My very truths, which are brighter than the sun, not finding her watered by the life of my will, burn her even more, blinding her, so she is incapable of understanding them in order to receive the good and the life they possess. She even reaches the excess of making war on good and against my very truths that bring life to the creatures. Therefore, I want you always in my will, so that neither of us suffer the hard pain of loneliness. Fiat. You have reached the end of the Book of Heaven, Volume 36, Part 12. Fiat.